Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Discussing the Man that is the best reason for abortion ever, Kent Hovind, and his doctoral dissertation. We have arrived now at the first actual chapter called The History of Evolution. So let's dig in, shall we? I'm sure you can't wait. Where in the world did the idea come from that things left to themselves can improve with time? Who could start such a crazy idea like that? No one did. The idea is the opposite of everything that we observe in the world today. For instance, all the highways in our nation today left to themselves decay, deteriorate and fall apart. Yes, variations, they're roads, they're static things. Equating roads with humans would be equating a road with one human being or one animal. When left to itself, that one animal will also deteriorate and die. The species, however, do not. Equating a road with an entire species or with life in itself is just completely missing the point. As it's Chris explained, Kent Hovind completely fails at thermodynamics, because as you can imagine, after starting an argument like this, the very first thing that's going to happen is the first and second law of thermodynamics are going to get mentioned, because that's one of the creationist pastimes, misunderstanding the laws of thermodynamics. A house left to itself will become a wreck. Once again, house animal, not house species. It takes work and constant planning to make everything improve. Of course, the question here is improve in what sense? Who determines what improvement is? Is a lion better than a saber-toothed tiger? Is a shark now better than a shark a million years ago? Is a jellyfish now better than a jellyfish 100 years ago or 1 million years ago? Are bonobo apes, or I think bonobos are actually monkeys. Biology fail, or taxonomy fail, I just don't know. The point is, what is better? Better suited to their environment, maybe, but also the environment changed. So maybe there was a species 1 million years ago that was actually better at surviving in the environment it had then than there are species that adapt to their environment right now. There is no better. That's also one of the problems that Mr. Hovind gets into a lot here, because he seems to think that humans are somehow the best, that they can be the best nature has to offer and will always have to offer. Which is of course a very interesting fallacy, but let's continue. Everything tends towards disorder. The first and second laws of thermodynamics, there we have them, are established scientific laws that have never been observed in the universe to be broken. Yes, except when they have, because in very small scales the laws of thermodynamics do get broken, as in you can actually get heat transfers to a hotter body on very small scales, which is something that the laws of thermodynamics say to forbid. The first law says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed by ordinary means. We do not see anything being created today. We see new stars being created every day. And yet we see an entire universe of created material. No, we don't. We see an entire universe of material. We don't see an entire universe of created material per se. We see material. The created moniker gets added by creationists. And yet this clearly indicates a creator. No, it does not. There are people in the world today who wish to avoid the concept of God. They do not like the idea of a God telling them what to do. No, I would not like the idea of a God telling me what to do. Therefore, it's a good thing that gods do not exist. Therefore, they have come up with the most dangerous, damnable doctrine ever imagined: evolution. There you have it, from the horse's mouth. The most dangerous, damnable doctrine ever imagined. That is what Kent Hovind describes evolution to be. I wonder how many evolutionary crusades there have been, or how many people have been killed in the name of evolution. Very dangerous indeed. Fuck you. I would like in this chapter to trace the history of evolutionary doctrine where did this dangerous doctrine come from? I think Kent Hovind has one of those word today calendars. Evolution is purely a religion. There is no scientific evidence at all to back up any form of macroevolution. I'm not even going to go into that. Watch our Rondra's channel if you're not convinced. There is. There is more evidence for evolution and even macroevolution, if you want to call that word, than there is for gravity. I shit you not. The technical definition of evolution means change. There is no question that things do change. So there is no question that things do evolve, apparently either, by his own logic. All change is directed either downwards towards less order, if left to themselves, or upward with a mastermind behind it. That's a very big leap of logic he makes there. The cities that we live in have evolved. Now he uses the word himself. Oh, the city where you are now probably did not even exist 300 years ago. Maybe not if you're an American. However, I'm in Europe and we have cities here that are much, much older. A colleague professor told me that cities evolve with time. I said to him, I agree. If you use this as your definition of evolve, then you are including a designer, and lots of work, planned, intelligent progress, not chaos ordered by itself. Have you ever seen any of the really old cities, Mr. Hovind? Have you seen the center of Amsterdam? There is very little planned about that. I can assure you. The reason why newer cities look planned is because there are now laws, and a lot of the cities were bombed in some religious war or another, so they had to be rebuilt with a plan. But if you see look at the older cities, they don't look very planned at all. This nice old city look that you get is not because of some kind of planner back then who went around, let's plan an old city look. No, they were just people building their houses right next to each other. The way the center of Amsterdam looks had more to do with taxation than anything else. Interesting, very short digression here. There was a time in Amsterdam where you got taxed by the width of the front of your building. So what you see in Amsterdam are a lot of very narrow buildings. That's not design, that's adapting to your environment, Mr. Hovind. Not one of the buildings in your city built itself by the material rising up from the ground. It did not happen that way, it does not happen that way, it never will happen that way. It requires intelligence and a designer. Yes, buildings require intelligence and a designer. Buildings are not life. Why is that such a difficult concept? Buildings are dead. They do not reproduce. Humans and other animals are alive. We do reproduce. There's a very distinctive difference between the two. If you can't tell the difference between what is alive and what is dead, you have a problem. When I speak of evolution, I'm not referring to small minor changes that naturally occur as animals have to make some adjustments to their environment. That sounds like evolution to me. For instance, if we release hundreds of rabbits in an area with cold winters, only the animals with a heavier fur would survive. So within a few years, the population would have a little heavier fur than the earlier population. These small minor population shifts brought about by environment are referred to as microevolution. There has been no change in the genetic material of the rabbit. And no, where exactly does the coding for the thicker fur come from? Is it just that some rabbits get born in the snow and think, I'm going to grow a thicker fur? No, that is genetics. There has only been a change in the ratio of the population. Do you mean the ratio in the gene pool, maybe? You still have the same kind of animal. Yes, for now. If that climate were to change back to milder climate, that's what he said actually, the population of animals would change back to having a lighter fur. Why? Maybe the thicker fur also protects them from predators. Maybe wolves don't like rabbits with thicker fur. Maybe the fur also helps them stave off the warmth in the winter, in the summer. Why would they lose it again? Maybe they will lose them again, but by that logic, all animals in the desert, that have very temperate climates should have lost their hair, and as far as I know, only we did. So I don't. Well, not all of it, of course. Anyway, this shows a very clear misunderstanding of what evolution actually is, and very disconcerting. Microevolution would be defined as changing into a different kind of animal. There is no similarity between microevolution and macroevolution. Yes, there is. It's the exact same process, it just takes longer. Many evolutionists will use microevolution to try to prove that macroevolution is true. We must guard ourselves not to fall for this false logic. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, I think I've bitched enough for another 10 minutes, and I will talk to you some other time again.